we took a deliberate effort to train judges at all levels, from the High Court to the Supreme Court, on digital evidence and cybercrime, the various aspects of it, and all of that. So that's a key thing that we did. And we've trained so many, build their capacity that they are now serving as trainers for the West African sub-region, working with the World Bank and other international institutions. So that's one. And we acceded to the Budapest Convention and the Malabo Convention on Personal Data Protection and Cybercrime, which is our African Convention on Cybercrime. And with the Budapest Convention, which we become a full member of, we've got access to training, capacity building. They assisted us with the development of our legislation. They shared best practices with us. They did a capacity, the World Bank helped us with the capacity maturity assessment to let us know where we were. So the baseline we started with was near zero. We had a draft policy on cybersecurity and strategy which we inherited, but it was just the bare bones. So we worked with all these institutions to build it in the best practices, international best practices in mind, set up the Cybersecurity Center, the technical working group, brought them together to work, helped them to also build up their own systems and get the international exposure as well, training programs. And then we started recruiting bit by bit, starting with cybersecurity, national service personnel. The World Bank assisted us with some consultants and experts, which they paid for. So they worked with Dr. Albert Ntwibwe to build up the Cybersecurity Center. And then we worked on developing our legislation and learning from best practices. We incorporated novel ideas. Our JCC, the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, is the first. The licensing of cybersecurity professionals, we're only doing it with Singapore. And then licensing accreditation of cybersecurity professionals. Then the critical national information infrastructure, identification and classification, and assisting them to get the baseline of protection that they need for all private and public sector organizations so that they'll be better protected. All these were innovations that we put in place. And then we started developing the network of our computer emergency response system. So we led by NITA, the National Information Technology Agency, we led them to develop a security operations center to protect the e-government infrastructure. Then the National Communications Authority was also directed to develop a protective framework set for the telecommunications sector. Now the Bank of Ghana also has its set for the financial services sector. We're working with the energy sector to also develop a protective layer for the energy sector. You remember the attack on the colonial gas pipeline in the US and how it crippled people. You couldn't buy petrol. And that will literally bring your entire economy to a halt. We know what the attack on the National Health Service of the UK also did. And so one of the key things that we're working to do with the health sector is also to get them to build a protective layer of cybersecurity around our critical health institutions. There's a lot of educational technology being set up now. So the educational sector would also need cybersecurity or a computer emergency response center as well. All these various sectoral sets will be overseen by the national set. They can't do what they like. So the Cybersecurity Authority, which manages the national set, is directing them on how to set up these systems, assisting them with even the recruitment or the procurement of professionals to help them in that sector so that we build a solid layer around it. The Electoral Commission is also working with them to see how our electoral systems can also be resilient enough to withstand cyber attacks. We had talk about what happened in the last election. We don't want that to happen in this election as well. So we're working with all these various critical sectors to assist them to put up the necessary computer emergency response systems to be able to, one, learn more about emerging challenges and preempt attacks if possible by putting in place the right systems.
Okay, so from 2017 to now, in terms of ranking, based on all that you've articulated, where is Ghana in terms of that index ranking?
2017 we were 32%. Now we are 99.27%. And the ITU classifies Ghana as a tier 1 country, a role model for others to emulate. I wouldn't say we've arrived. Like I said, it's all these things that we've done that have enabled us to attain this ranking, because most countries aren't doing what we're doing. Now, what else can we do to sustain that ranking? And that's the challenge that I'm leaving with the Cybersecurity Authority. But I know they're up to the task.